on behalf of CLOC, a nationally recognized consortium housed at Children's Memorial Hospital that brings together hundreds of organizations and individuals to confront childhood obesity in Chicago. The consortium is comprised of over 3,000 individuals from more than 1,200 organizations, all dedicated to the promotion of healthy and active lifestyles for children and families in order to prevent childhood obesity in Chicago and beyond. Childhood obesity rates in Chicago are greater than they are in other parts of the nation. In 2004, a CLOC study found that 24% of Chicago children were obese at kindergarten entry. The good news is this rate went down by 2% in a follow-up study we conducted in 2008. The bad news is that this rate is more than twice the national average for children in a similar age group, and the rate in Chicago for 10 to 13-year-olds in 2008 was 28%. These rates vary not only by age, but by race, ethnicity, and income. Lower-income communities and communities of color experience the highest rates of obesity in our city, with some having childhood obesity rates of closer to 50%. Medical science tells us that most of these children will struggle with serious chronic diseases and other physical and mental health problems, not just as adults, but right now as children. Childhood obesity is related to diabetes, hypertension, musculoskeletal problems, asthma, and more. These conditions that pediatricians used to only have to rarely address are now becoming commonplace. The evidence is now conclusive that obesity is related to many varieties of cancer, and fatty liver disease resulting from obesity has surpassed hepatitis as the primary cause for liver transplantation in this country. Mental health and social problems such as depression and poor academic performance are also related to obesity among children. As a society and as a community, we must take on the cost of obesity prevention now, making the investments needed for effective prevention and treatment, or we risk paying later the much higher costs that are associated with increasing prevalence of chronic disease, underprepared students, and unhealthy workers. Lack of physical fitness is also becoming a problem of national and local security, with increasing numbers of America's youth unfit to serve in the military, local police forces, and fire departments. To address the epidemic, CLOC partners take an ecological approach, meaning that we address the epidemic among individual children and their families in the institutions and community environments in which they live, work, learn, and play. Our Healthy Lifestyle Message 54321-GO counsels children to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, drink 4 servings of water, 3 servings of low-fat dairy, participate in no more than 2 hours a day of screen time activity like television and video games, and get at least 1 hour of physical activity a day. We know that educating children and families is necessary, but it is not sufficient to stem the tide of childhood obesity. When it comes to good nutrition, in addition to health education and promotion, we must ensure that healthy foods and beverages are affordable, easy to find, and become an integral part of Chicago's rich cultural tradition. We must work to ensure that the balance between healthy and less healthy foods and beverages is one that gives children and families a fair shot at living healthy lives. Foods and beverages that are cheaper, within constant reach, served wherever children and families gather, and are the go-to foods and beverages in our hectic lives will be the most prevalent in our diets. Today, these foods and beverages tend to be calorie-dense and nutrient-poor. We must make significant changes to the relative costs and availability of healthy versus unhealthy foods and beverages if we are to change the balance in consumption. Policy approaches are an integral part of striking this healthy balance, and Chicago has begun to make great strides. The City of Chicago's Interdepartmental Task Force on Childhood Obesity, an 11-member city government body led by the Chicago Department of Public Health and facilitated by CLOC, is implementing a coordinated approach to obesity prevention. Several member agencies have already set institutional policy to improve the food environment for children in Chicago. They have restricted access to foods and beverages that are high in calories with little to no nutritional value, like sugar-sweetened beverages, and these strategies are being well received. In 2009, CLOC developed a policy agenda to help ensure that children and families in Chicago have the environmental and educational support they need to live healthy lives through good nutrition and physical activity. One priority on this agenda is to explore the merits of an excise tax on sugar-sweetened beverages at various levels of government. Many experts across the country and in this room today continue to advance scientific knowledge about the role that sugar-sweetened beverages play in the obesity epidemic and about the health benefits access is limited and consumption reduced. At CLOC, while we believe that no single measure or policy should be the sole focus of obesity prevention efforts, we believe that if evidence points towards a particular approach, we must include it in our portfolio of diverse strategies. We commend the Committee on Health and Environmental Protection for paying attention to this issue and for your efforts to educate yourselves and our community about the evidence and what it suggests in terms of effective approaches for reducing obesity and improving lives. We hope you will continue to work with stakeholders to identify additional strategies to address the childhood obesity epidemic in this city. Thank you for the opportunity to offer this testimony. CLOC is proud to be among the leaders in our city who are committed to obesity prevention. No one organization can do this alone, and CLOC looks forward to continuing to work with our city partners and elected officials in Chicago and across the state, as well as other stakeholders to advocate on behalf of the well-being of our city's children and the future of our population. Thank you.
Thanks,